All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late afternoon or early evening for some of you. And we have one more video today of cornerbacks, one more video of day 3 corner prospects, and then we're on to the final day of cornerback prospects tomorrow. That is how close we are to the end here. There's obviously some more stuff we got to do between now and the draft. It's not completely over, but in terms of like a structure, in terms of like a process that plays out in a way that is logical and makes sense, we will be done. So, I'm going to lead things off with, I'd say, a pretty interesting one here. Josh Newton of TCU, the Horned Frogs, 23 years old, 5'11, 190 pounds, 31 and an eighth arms, 9 and a quarter hands, so decent size, not great. Testing was pretty mixed, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but he's about average in speed, explosiveness, 3 cone, 20-yard shuttle, It's just kind of like forgettable, bleh. Big boards mostly put him in the fourth or fifth. Aggregate puts him in the late fourth. Numbers the last couple years, good ball production, right? 21 passes defensed, 4 interceptions, 68 tackles, good PFF grades. So, building on a pretty decent foundation here for Josh Newton. He's got a lot of flexibility. He'll be able to play some zone. He'll be able to play some man. He'll be able to play press man and off man. He'll be able to do, I think, outside corner and slot corner. So if you get Josh Newton, you're getting a guy who's going to find a way to fit in pretty much whatever you're doing. He's got lateral agility and quickness when he hits his jams at the line. It's really hard to get a free release on him if he doesn't want you to have a free release. He's explosive when clicking and closing. His click and close when he's in zone is solid and allows him to make breaks on the ball and make plays that are not easy. He reads routes well and handles them well in zone. He knows when to pass them off. He knows when to try to jump a route. He knows when to try to maybe even leave his zone to jump a play. So he makes a lot of plays in zone. I think that unlike some of these other guys, his flexibility will survive at the NFL level. I think that Josh Newton will be able to do zone, press man, off man, slot, and outside corner stuff at the NFL level. Maybe not all of it great, but I think it'll transition okay. His arms are a little bit short, but I don't think it's a big problem. He's got good ball skills as well. You can see the ball production the last couple years. I don't think it's great yet. I think there is a little bit of a habit of him playing the ball instead of the man instead of the ball, but it's still good. So a lot to like with Josh Newton. He is a little slow, and you see that on some of these reps. Like when a receiver runs a vertical route on him, not a lot he can do about it. If you try to put him in a one-on-one man situation with a fast receiver, and that fast receiver runs the 9 route, it's going to be hard. He's probably going to get beat. He doesn't flip his hips all that well. It doesn't feel all that fluid when he goes from being a backpedaler to a runner. And he's not that long, so some of the opportunities he has to make a play on the ball get wasted because he doesn't have the length to get his hand in there. So I feel like he's a little underrated because he didn't test that well, and I completely understand that. These testing numbers gives me pause as well, but I think there's a lot that he brings to the table that is good enough to supersede this more than most people would say. So Josh Newton to me, late third round pick. I like him a little bit more than most people, I think. I think that there's enough good here to overlook the fact that he didn't test well. And for all we know, the testing was a bad day, right? I think he generally looked a little more athletic than he showed at the combine. Okay, next guy is going to be Jarrian Jones, Florida State Seminole, another Seminole cornerback in this draft. 23, 6 feet flat, 190 pounds, 30-inch arms, which is, that's rough. That's not going to be easy to deal with. And I know 2 or 3 inches doesn't sound like a big deal, but in this situation it is. 8 and 5/8 hands. But he's got great athleticism to make up for his short arms. 4.3, 840, 153 10-yard split's pretty good as well. The vert almost 40 inches, 10-foot 9-inch broad. So the guy's explosive and he's fast. Big boards, not a lot of agreements here. PFF and Draft Network have him in the third. CBS and Walter Football have him in the fifth, I think. And ESPN has him in the deep seventh. So all over. But the aggregate puts him in the late fourth area. Last couple years, production's been okay. 44 tackles, 5 for loss last year, 1 sack, 4 picks, 7 passes defensed. PFF grade was great last year, though. Really, really top notch stuff from him. You don't usually see testing numbers like this late in the draft, unless it's from like a complete project. And I don't consider this guy to be a complete project, so this is actually kind of unexpected, I think, to find a guy who tests this well this late. He uses his physicality to throw receivers off the route. He's really good at being able to disrupt the route and force the quarterback to look elsewhere because the receiver's not where he expected. He's good in zone. He does a lot of positive things in zone. He knows how to pass off receivers, knows how to break on a receiver. He uses his upper level speed to hang with receivers running 9 routes, so he doesn't get beat over the top that much because he has the recovery speed and the speed to not allow big separation. And just generally speaking, I think he's a very smart player. I think he's a very savvy player. I think that he has a deep understanding of how to read plays and read routes and react to it appropriately. I'm not in love with his click and close. He takes some unnecessary steps when he's clicking and closing, and that wastes time. So that leads to him kind of allowing some stuff underneath him that he probably shouldn't be because he just spends a little too much time transitioning from a backpedaler to moving forward. He's not very quick accelerating, so you can build a little bit of separation on him early in the route. So some receivers are going to be able to run short routes to kind of take advantage of that. He's not a very good tackler yet. He needs some work on his tackling. His footwork is a little bit sloppy at times, and the short arms are... It's going to take away from some of the things that he could do in college. And it might make it harder for him to play physically. It might make it a little bit harder for him to make plays on the ball. A lot of things happen when you have the short arms. So I think he's a pretty good prospect. I like his versatility. I like the athleticism. The short arms do scare me a little bit, but I'd go 4th-rounder. I don't know if the Seahawks should consider him a 4th-rounder because he's a bad tackler, but I don't think he's a terrible tackler, and I don't think it's unfixable. I think he can become at least a slightly better tackler. Maybe he'll never be great because his arms are so short he can't wrap up, but I think he can get a little bit better. Let's put it that way. Okay. One more guy for today, and it's a very appealing one to me. Nehemiah Pritchett. Nehemiah Pritchett of the Auburn Tigers. 23, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, 31 and 5/8 arms, 8 and 3/8 hands. So pretty good size. Ran really fast at the combine, and 1.49 10-yard split is pretty eye-popping. 4.36 40. Oh, yeah. The vert was not good. That's the only other thing he did. But you can see that the big boards, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here. We got 3rd round, we got 4th round, we got 5th. Aggregate currently has him in like the late 4th, early 5th. Not big production in college. He did have a 2022 season where he had 8 passes defensed, but only 1 interception combined over the last 2 years. So he's not really putting up the numbers that you would like. But the talent here is, I think, very noticeable, and there's a lot that he can do to bring value to your team. Good jabs in press, his ability to stick in front of a receiver and get a jab on his chest and put the press on him and disrupt the route is good. He's got great long speed, so he can hang with fast receivers. If you try to run a go route on him, he's going to be able to keep up because he's just got that great straight line speed that receivers can't match. He's very aggressive at the catch point. I know he doesn't have big-time ball production, but he's really good at making it hard for these receivers to bring in these contested catches. Change of direction is fast. That gives you some hope he could maybe hang on in man. That gives you some hope he's going to be able to maybe do some stuff in man coverage if you ever need that. He very rarely gives up separation. I think he'll be good in zone as well because he's good at reading plays and good at clicking and closing, relatively speaking. I do think that there are some improvements he needs to make on his click and close. It's a little tentative, but there's a difference between tentative and just not good. I think that he just needs to be a little more assertive, and that's something that can be fixed. I think he's an okay tackler and run defender, but he needs to get better, needs to get a little more cerebral in that area, needs to get a little bit stronger. Probably needs to add some weight, and he's got the frame for it, so I'm not worried about it, but he does probably need to put on some strength. And like I said about his click and close, it's a little bit tentative. So I like this one a lot. I'm into this one. He's got a lot of potential. He's got a few rough edges that can be taken care of. He's one of my big time sleepers. I think he's an early third round pick, and there's a big part of me that wants to put him in the late second. I like him more than some of the guys that are projected to go like 100 picks higher than this, honestly. I might put this guy in my late second by the time this is all said and done. I think this is one of the big sleepers. So Nehemiah Pritchett has really caught my attention. I know the production isn't there, but there's a lot of stuff that is here that should be appealing to anybody that wants a corner. All right, guys. Unless something else happens today, I'll see you tomorrow. We will be finishing up the cornerbacks, and then there's just a little bit of work that need to be done. But by the end of I'll say Tuesday, just to give us a little bit of buffer, we should be just working towards putting everything in order to actually get ready for the draft. I'm excited. I know you guys are too. See you guys later. Go Hawks.